Classes in session, hitting the books. College basketball show Friday, January 17th. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack with you, ready to break down Friday and Saturday college basketball, as we always do on our Friday show. So with that in mind, let's get into it. We will begin with a Big East matchup to get the show rocking and rolling. We've got Providence and Villanova. Villanova, 9.5 point home favorites, 140.5, 141 is your total here in this game. We've got Villanova looking to, a team that's had some tough games, you can say, the last couple. The loss to St. John's, 80-68, heartbreaker against Xavier. Xavier just turned that game right around in the last few minutes and turned a deficit into a 6-point win over Villanova. So you got Villanova, 2 road losses back home. First thought is lay the points. I'm not laying points, though, with Villanova. I'm not fully there with laying a number like this with the Villanova Wildcats. The question is going to be, what are you going to get here from Providence? Providence won back-to-back home games versus Butler and Seton Hall. They got smashed on the road by Creighton, 84-64 in their last game. So are you going to get that kind of performance from them on the road tonight? Or are you going to get the Providence that nearly beat UConn, and lost 87-84, took them right down to the wire? I'd take the points with the Friars, honestly, before I take Villanova, but it's not a strong opinion. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I just don't know what we're going to get, from this Providence team. We've seen it before. These teams are like back-to-back road games. They get back-to-back their ass waxed by 20, so there's times they play better. I think Nova has a pretty good game here after back-to-back losses on the road for them. But yeah, I really don't want to be laying points. Nova too has been a pretty good over team all year. I don't think their defense has been really great. It is a small card like this. I got to delve and do some props. I took Dixon's threes because it was plus money, 2.5. I mean, he shoots a ton. Vanna's plus 110. Over 2.5. I mean, he shoots at least 7 or 8, it seems like, and the highest percentage in the country. So yeah, I took his threes over 2.5 in this game. He's hit it 7 of 8. He had a weird lull where he had 1, but I mean, it's pretty consistent with 3 or more, all year.
All right, we got Indiana, Ohio State, Big Ten action. Ohio State laying 7.5, actually 8 now starting to show up. 149, 149.5 the total. Yeah. When it comes to Indiana, I'm almost out on these guys. They're so flaky, man. I still remember Louisville beating the fucking hell out of them early in the season. They've had some duds. They got blown out by Nebraska. I know they put on a nice little run, but what were the wins, right? Rutgers, when Rutgers was dealing with injuries. Penn State, who's kind of a flaky team defensively. USC, when USC was still rebuilding or, trying to get up to the level that Eric Musselman's looking for them at home. It was a good win, but again, they caught USC traveling from the West Coast for the first time as well. Then they went to Iowa. They lost in blowout fashion to the Hawkeyes. Then, of course, they got drilled at home by Illinois, and it got ugly. The fans are chanting Fire Woodson. They've had enough of him as the head coach. I think the vibes are bad with Indiana. Could they bounce back here? Yeah, sure, but it's not like Ohio State's going to look past them. Ohio State has lost 3 of the last 4 games coming into this one. They're going to be looking to step things up here in this matchup against Indiana. I laid it with Ohio State, laid the 7 here with them in this game. They've had a tough schedule too. Oregon at home, Michigan State at home. Those are 2 really good Big Ten teams. This is also a team, though, we can't forget that they beat Kentucky by 20 at Madison Square Garden. I just feel I've got a little more faith in the Buckeyes right now, and I don't like the vibes we're seeing at all right now with this Hoosiers team. C-Mac, what do you think here tonight in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I didn't have much in this game. I don't want either of these teams. I mean, why would you want to? Just pretty average teams, especially with Ohio State laying points. I guess they've been playing better off back-to-back tough, tight losses, by 2 each. Indiana struggles. They just struggle to shoot the ball. It's been really the shits for them. They have beat Ohio State 4 of the last 5 in the series. Only 1. Last year they actually won in Ohio State, because usually that's always the struggle. Of course, these Big Ten teams is on the road. So, yeah. Pass. Next. Good luck.
Nothing wrong with that. We got DePaul, Georgetown, also on this Friday night. Georgetown, 9-point home favorites, 140.5, 7.5 the total in this game. Georgetown is making strides under Ed Cooley, no question. And I like what I see from them, but now 3 straight losses. Now they're in territory where they not only have to win, but they have to win by margin. You look at early on when they had their big surge, they were underdogs, they were short favorites. Now we're putting them in the stratosphere where they got to win by margin. And DePaul, DePaul's playing hard. They're not very good, but they've played hard at times. I know they had the Villanova loss, ugly, double-digit losses to Xavier and UConn too. But maybe that's a sign of improvement because they played a hell of a game at home against Marquette. They led at halftime, and they probably should have won that game, but they let it slip away. CJ Gunn's a really good player. Sometimes, though, it's hard to get step-up support from him consistently. It's a really interesting game. Kind of feels like DePaul's turning a corner. So I guess I lean DePaul a little bit plus the points. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, I mean, at least in the last few games, Guns has played well in that. He plays basically the whole fucking game. Yep. I mean, they're not very deep. It's a ball team. One thing that I know they won a couple last year, even how horrible they were on the road. This team's just shits on the road. DePaul. 0-5 ATS. They did have that close game, like you just talked about, against Marquette. So I can't trust. Defensively, they're still awful. And in these road games, when I was looking at it, I mean, they haven't got past really 65. That's for the Seton Hall game they did. Seton Hall, by the way, playing a little more up tempo, scored some more points in theirs. But one thing, they give up a bunch. So if you don't want to lay it, maybe a Georgetown team total, but DePaul's team total 66.5. I mean, I'd be shocked if they get to 67 or more, then they're probably covering. But in all these road games, they have it 56, Villanova 64, St. John's 61. I mean, holy shit, 62. I think at Texas Tech. So team total under.
All right, we've got Iowa UCLA, Big Ten action as well tonight. We've got UCLA 6.5, 7-point home favorites at Pauley Pavilion. Total in the 151 range right now. I'm not Mr. Iowa, C-Mac, but I'm on them tonight. I'm on Iowa with the 7, the 6.5. How can you lay it with UCLA? This is a tire fire right now. This is ever since Cronin set off that bomb, ripping his team. It's not like they've responded the way you want to see them respond. They haven't won a game since his little tirade there against after the Michigan game. They go on the road. They get drubbed by Maryland. They did play okay to start the game in the rack at Rutgers, but they were a 4-point road favorite. They closed. They lose outright, 75-68. Not exactly the response Mick Cronin was looking for from his UCLA Bruins team. So I don't know how you lay 7 with this bunch right now. And say what you will about Iowa, they don't play a lick of defense. They didn't again versus USC. They give up 99 points. UCLA is coming back from New Jersey. Iowa's been out at least on the West Coast, and they stay right there in Los Angeles after playing at USC the other night. So it's actually probably a scheduling advantage, situational travel advantage for the Hawkeyes, believe it or not, for this game. So, yeah, for me, it's Iowa plus the points. You're not going to see me betting good old Fran McCaffrey very often, but I think this spot and the number of points you're getting, and with UCLA's major issues, I think it makes sense to take Iowa here tonight. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this might be the game, especially if you got 7. This has come down to 6 or 5.5.
5.5
now. I think in a few spots. Yeah, I mean,
I see it now. Yeah, it's moving as we speak. Yeah, 6, 5.5. Wow.
Yeah, it's been moving a little bit the last 30 minutes. I just don't know this UCLA offense. I don't know how. Yeah, they cover the game. I really don't, and I'm told too. In spots Saturday, did it with Iowa. Back them at home. I want to fade them on the road. They did cover. Was that game a neutral with Michigan? Because the last 2 they've gotten their ass blown out.
No, that was at home. That was at UCLA. That was a home game for UCLA against Michigan. Yep.
No, Iowa at Michigan, December 7th. Yeah, 85-83.
That was at Michigan.
Yeah, that was their cover. Okay, yeah, I'm just saying that was their own cover. And the last 2, of course, to Wisconsin, where they got drilled, they gave up 116. They're still not great defensively. Maybe that'll help UCLA to get easier buckets tonight. But yeah, no travel, just at SC. But they lost by 10 It's kind of classic McCaffrey team. But I think they could play better, and I think that's why they're moving. One thing is they could shoot it still. They're pretty good from the free throw line. They're definitely good from three. They shoot a ton. They're only 68% from the line. But they're pretty good from three. They shoot a good amount. They're almost 40%. That could keep them in it. So I don't blame you here in this game. If UCLA wins, they need to get back to playing defense. It's just gone. Like it's like, they need to lock it down. I don't know if this is the game.
Teams, they do have to play better defense if they're going to have chances. Yep.
Yeah, and this is weird, but might be the game that still goes over though, easily. Just because.
How do you bet Iowa under? UCLA's gone over in 3 straight. I'm not getting there with the under. It's over or pass for me with this total.
Yeah, I can't. Not right now. It's probably a game that if they play a great game, it could stay under. But I just can't see it, like 75-68 with like a UCLA win. But no way, no how.
Yeah, you're betting on thinking and hoping. Thinking and hoping.
Yeah, exactly. So
like that Dusty Springfield song from back in the day. Wishing and hoping. UCLA is going to play good defense, but do we know they will? No.
Let's not play that song. It's all right. I'm not trying to rip the song, but
I know that's right. It's an old one. Yeah, it's
wishing and hoping.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right, that's enough of the Dusty Springfield talk. On we go. Boise State and New Mexico. It's a good one. Good late night Mountain West matchup here. New Mexico 3.5-point home favorites. 151 the total. You know what? I remember Nevada, and it went right down to the wire at the pit with Nevada. Nevada's not very good. Boise's a lot better. I get the sense New Mexico could win this game, but it's down to the wire. It's a one-possession game. I feel Boise might be worth. I like the way Boise's going too, of late. Plus the points, I think, is the way I would go. It's a tricky game because I think the number's in a good spot, but it's been one of those deals where. And don't forget too, last year New Mexico lost both regular season games, including here at the pit. Boise was a 10.5-point dog, and they won outright, 86-78 here at the pit last year. And then they won it in Boise, and then New Mexico beat them, got them back in the Mountain West Conference tournament in March. But the regular season meetings, Boise won both of them. Now, I know New Mexico's off the loss to San Jose State, and obviously focus will be there. But I like the way Boise's playing, and I could see this being down to the wire. Again, we got New Mexico off that bad loss, so that's the one concern. They mean business. They're breathing smoke here, and they take it to Boise. I don't know if they're good. They're good enough, and because I love Dent, but sometimes there's struggles with what you get outside of that backcourt for New Mexico. And Boise's playing really well. Not easy to beat them by margin right now. I feel like plus the points has got to be the lean for me here with Boise State. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, the more I keep going through this game, I think it's Boise. I mean, they've had some success at the pit the last 4 or 5 years, where before they didn't. They've gone in there and won a few times. You know what's been so impressive with Boise State lately, too, when I was going through the offensive numbers have been really good, the last month. I mean, they've been tops, when you go through everything. And that makes them dangerous. And they've played well on the road this year, too. They've had a couple tough losses and a couple wins. And that Utah State game kind of gave it away. They were up last second at that 3 that dropped for Utah State. Then they added a free throw and won by 2. And that was another short number. Yeah, just New Mexico off that loss to San Jose. You got to think they play better. But I think this is down to the wire. But I keep rolling through it. And I still haven't bet this, but I'm leaning here with Boise. I think this could be a really good game.
Yeah, it is. That's a great, definitely one to watch here at 8 Pacific.
That's the lone game, too. Yep.
Yeah. Late game, no doubt. That'll be one to watch for sure coming up later tonight. All right, let's shift gears now to Saturday. And as usual, a huge Saturday card. And it begins with a good one early. Creighton, UConn in the Big East. UConn 6.5-point home favorites in stores, and the total here at 147.5. It looks like with the total here with Creighton and UConn. It's a ranked matchup. It's UConn obviously playing a lot better. Other than a 2-point loss at Villanova, they've won 9 of the last 10, and you expected Danny Hurley's team to improve after a slow start to the year, and they've certainly done that. No question. You like what you're seeing from them. We'll see if McNeely plays. I think as of now, it looks like he's going to be out again for UConn. Something to keep an eye. And Pop Isaacs still remaining out right now for Creighton as well, as far as a key injury for them. Creighton, meanwhile, they beat Providence.
He's gone for the year.
Yeah, he is.
Too. He's out.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. He's not coming back for the at any point this year. Don't look now. Creighton, who kind of underachieved as well, starting to turn a corner themselves. Villanova win, St. John's win, Providence win at home. The road play is the question, right? Because they lose to Georgetown, they lose to Marquette, but they do cover in defeat. They beat Butler on the road 80-76. You look at last year in Big East play, UConn 62-48 at home, and then it was Creighton winning at home. So the home team covered both games. I'm not involved in it. History says lay it with UConn, but I don't think I'm going to do that here. CMAC, what do you think? Creighton, UConn.
This is a pass for me. It's just a flat pass. UConn's playing better. Creighton's only 1-3 on the road this year, but last year they were pretty good the last couple years, and they've been good against UConn the last couple years. UConn's won the last two at home, but Creighton kind of had their number there. So tough one at this number. What I did look at a little bit was already the under in this game, especially if UConn comes to play with their defense and Creighton struggles on the road to shoot it. I think this stays under. I think the total's a little bit high.
Yeah, it could be, especially for an early game like that. Another good early game, Alabama and Kentucky in SEC action. We've got Kentucky 2.5 point home favorites in this matchup, and the total here, look at this total. You knew it would be high. 179.5. This total is almost touching 180 for Alabama. And now, obviously, you're going to get pace galore. Two gifted offensive basketball teams going head-to-head. Should see a ton of points. Obviously, last year at Kentucky, we saw 117.95, 212 points in the game. You're not going to see me betting this under, even though it's super high. It's sky high, almost at 180. But boy, oh boy, I don't think you're going to see. And the year before that in Kentucky, it was 171 points. Now, that would have stayed under. But like I said, we'll see about Alabama. And Alabama probably will be looking to bounce back. I think Ole Miss deserves just an absolute ton of credit. We loved Ole Miss, both of us, plus the points at Alabama earlier this week. To hold Alabama to 43% shooting and just 25%, there's the formula to beat them. You hold them to 5 for 20, 25% from three-point range. You got a chance to beat Alabama.
I was waiting for that game.
And finally it happened where, Sears didn't have a great game. Youngblood struggled. Multiple players for this Alabama team just struggled to connect from the field. I think Ole Miss defense had a lot to do with it. We'll see how they bounce back here. Meanwhile, Kentucky, back-to-back wins for them after the loss to Georgia. They won on the road at Mississippi State. They beat A&M by 12 last game. Certainly, when you look at the recent series history, Kentucky has won the last two meetings here at Rupp Arena versus Alabama. I'd probably lean Kentucky a little bit, but I don't know if I like betting out against Alabama off a loss, and because that's going to get their attention. Obviously, what happened against Ole Miss, and let's not forget the last time they lost, it was against Oregon. They then beat North Carolina by 15 the very next game. Alabama, not a team I like to bet against here off a loss, so that might keep me off taking Kentucky. CMAC, what do you think here?
Yeah, me too. I just think they shoot the ball better. Kentucky so far, their defense just says come and go at time. You know what I mean? That's why this total is this high. But I still think it's Kentucky or nothing. And if I was to say, and with that loss, Bama 4-1 on the road, because that's where I wanted. We fade him before. Bavano, Ole Miss has been so good on the road as well, and all those points I thought were crazy, and they were due for a bad night. But I've been impressed with it
at A&M, so they've shown their ability and their chops to win on the road. Yep.
Yeah, they played way better than I thought. Because I thought when a bad shooting and just the way they play defense at times that the road will be tough for them. But man, they've been really good so far. But I like Kentucky here a little bit.
All right, we got Clemson and Pittsburgh, ACC, here on Saturday. This is also an early start at noon Eastern. We got Clemson. It looks like we're looking at them. See what the actually, you know what? I just realized they have not posted that line yet. So we will have to do some digging here to find projected line for Clemson and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 2.5, 3 is what we're looking at. Total in the 140 range here with Pittsburgh slight home favorite. I don't know. I keep giving Pitt chances here. And apparently Bart Torvik says they're still going to be favored here. If that's the case, I might look at Clemson. I mean, Pitt's starting to spit the bit here. Blown out against Duke's one thing. Losing to a red-hot Louisville team's one thing at home. But then at Florida State, you lose by double digits. That's a bad loss. That's a sign of a team to me that's heading in the wrong direction. I'm interested in Clemson. We'll have to see where the number comes. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, that was the defense just is gone to shit.
Yep.
Capel needs to get these guys together after the end of that game when he was bitching because Florida State kid dunked the ball. I saw that too.
Clemson is playing defense right now.
They are. There's no way I could take Pitt here. Clemson or nothing. Clemson, too. 10 straight. Beat them. Pretty wild stat.
Yeah, they've dominated this series.
10 in a row.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No doubt. We will see if that continues here coming up on Saturday. All right, Sunflower State Showdown here. Kansas State, Kansas. Kansas right now 14.5-point home favorites at Fog Allen, 141.5 the total in this game. I mean, not a lot of people are going to want to back Kansas State. I mean, they've lost, 4 in a row? Back-to-back home losses, blown out by Houston. They lose against Texas Tech. They did cover, though, against Texas Tech. They were 7-point dogs. They lost by 4. So they did get inside the number. On the road, they lost by 1 at TCU. They lose by double digits to a pretty weak Oklahoma State team. They get blown out by Wichita State, blown out by St. John's. They've had some rough games on the road. They're 0-4 straight up on true road games, and the point spread record's not that much better. But this is one of those deals where, you know what, sometimes you throw out the record a little bit. I know last year Kansas did beat them in Kansas. That was after losing, though, in the Little Apple to the Wildcats. Kansas off the loss to Iowa State, 74-57. That might be enough to keep me off K-State, but I'm always interested. Double-digit underdog rivalry game. Question is Kansas State good enough to stay inside the number? Because they've got issues, and Kansas might be a little pissed, after losing at Iowa State. And I thought that was a great spot. Best bet winner for me on Wednesday's show was Iowa State, -5 against Kansas. They got it done. You got Kansas off that loss, so that's probably the one thing that might keep me off taking the Tang Gang here in the Wildcats with all these points. C-Mac, what do you think here?
I think Kansas plays better. I'd take Kansas first half. I might look at that. Under keeps rolling here. One thing, the defense has been there. It wasn't great, of course, but they couldn't score, and that's been the problem in a game like that against Iowa State. But, I mean, Cincy at 40, Arizona State at home at 55, UCF 48. These teams aren't scoring really against them. NC State at 60. I mean, they're just holding teams down. So look to a K-State under, a team total under, as their offense just not very good either. Man, this team's not a great shooting team.
Yeah, I could see it going under for sure. All right, Texas Tech, 5.5-point home favorites against Arizona, 150.5 the total. Arizona's rolling again. That's the best stretch of basketball they've played this year. 7 straight victories for Arizona. We've already seen evidence of them going on the road, getting it done. 2-0 in Big 12 road play at Cincy, at West Virginia, winning those 2 games as either underdogs or short road favorites. Now here they are, believe it or not, road underdogs here against Texas Tech. Kind of a weird line, kind of a fishy line, I must admit. Texas Tech laying 5.5 here against Arizona State because I still feel, Arizona might be the better team. Certainly, I like their talent, and as long as Love doesn't, get abandoned and has support from his teammates, they can be a really good team. And I like the better quality of defense they're playing of late. I'm interested in Arizona. It's a weird line, but Arizona showed they could go on the road, get it done. They don't even have to win. They're getting 5.5. So probably would be Wildcats or nothing for me here. C-Mac, what do you think? Arizona, Texas Tech.
Yeah, the difference has been the defense, I think, flat out. The last, about 4 games. I think they come back home, get those wins. It's just Texas Tech a tough place to play. This seemed about right, but a little out there. I mean, I was thinking this was going to be 3.5, 5.5. So, nah, I don't think I can get there. I don't have enough trust. I love what I've seen with Arizona. I got to see more of it. Or I really want to put my money on them. But I'm interested in them as dogs.
Speaking of interest in dogs, Xavier Marquette next up. We've got Marquette 9.5, 10-point home favorites, 147.5 the total. I'm interested in this dog, Xavier. I know Marquette has really dominated them. They've won 5 straight in the series, but Xavier's a point spread machine right now. I've been on them a lot lately. 7-2 against the spread. Marquette's dropped 3 in a row. ATS. They've won 6 in a row, but they've all been close games. 8-point win against Creighton, 8-point win against Georgetown. 2-point win on the road at DePaul in their last game. So Marquette's winning and doing enough to win. They got to win by double digits against a Xavier team that's finally getting it going. We know this team, I thought, as talent-wise, was right there to contend in the Big East. And finally, Xavier's starting to play like it. And they got Fremantle back in the rotation now. Makes them even better. This is Xavier for me if I'm betting it. Plus, 9.5, even 10 in some spots with them. C-Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, Marquette just lately has not, been covering numbers. They've been laying these big spreads.
Beat them as a favorite, bet them as a dog, right?
Yeah, big favorites laying 13, 10, 13. These really big numbers, and they haven't got it done. I mean, again, go back to Butler. They still cover those 14.5. This is just too many. And Marquette this year has struggled shooting the three. Where they were a little bit better, could get really hot the last couple of years. They haven't been that great. Only 32% from shooting the three. So Xavier can. Pretty good free throw shooting team too, almost 80%. I like to see that. So I agree. I think the 10 points will be handy here.
All right, Wisconsin, USC, as we go back to the Big Ten on Saturday. For this one, we've got Wisconsin 2.5-point road favorites. 150.5 the total in this game. Wisconsin, not pretty, and a big lead against Ohio State. Almost let it slip, but they hang on, and they get a 70-68 win over the Buckeyes. Like I've said, this is one of Greg Gard's better offensive teams. They're scoring like 75, 80, or plus in almost every game. USC comes in. Their offense is starting to hum, but they've still got some shakiness on the other end of the court defense going into this game. But I like what I see. Wesley Yates, Desmond Claude, Chibuzu Agbo, St. Thomas. That's a great name. His first name's Saint. His last name's Thomas. Great name for him with this USC team. But they're collectively really scoring the ball well. Defense is still a bit of an issue. Total 150.5. I think it gets over. We talked about how Wisconsin overs this year. Now, they've cooled off a little bit, but you have to factor in who they've played. They played an Ohio State team that doesn't play fast. Minnesota's kind of slow and offensively challenged. The last 2 games that have stayed under, keep that in mind. So Rutgers had some injuries when they played them. That game stayed under. Before that, Wisconsin was an over machine. Now they're going to welcome in CMAC, a USC team that's good offensively, that's going to play fast. I think this game does go over the total.
Yeah.
I kind of lean USC from a side perspective here, but I don't know if I'm going to bet it just because we've got Wisconsin making the long trip out there to Los Angeles for this. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to take SC. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, the great second half against Illinois and then the big win against Iowa. It's great steps going forward. And this seems like a good spot for them. But it seems like, just 10 days ago or so, 2 weeks ago, they'd be maybe catching 4.5, 5, probably, not 2.5. But the total, I think, is it. If this starts to get up, I've noticed, I always try to get totals in the 151, 152, because there's so many, it gets right around there. I'm sure you know that, Pavano, when it starts to get to 154, 155. So at here, I think it gets over. Up to, I think it's probably good up to like 154. Both teams playing at a quick pace, scoring. So I agree. I like it at this number.
Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Tennessee, 6.5-point road favorites. This is at Vandy. 140.5 the total in this game. Vandy with a escape over South Carolina, 66-63. The 6th straight Vanderbilt game to stay under the total with that victory over South Carolina. Tennessee.
Under. Here.
Under here. That's exactly where I'm a little surprised this total's 140s, quite honestly.
Me too.
I expected it to be a little lower than that. It's not. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I know Byington and James Madison days they play with a little bit of pace, but they're also getting better defensively. Vanderbilt, there's no question. You're seeing improvements. Tennessee's as good as it gets at the defensive end of the court. Other than the Florida game, this team, has played very good defense all season. I think it's going to be tough to get easy baskets both ways. We'll see with the point spread here. Vandy at home, I'm interested. We still got to see it with Tennessee on the road. They get blown out by Florida. They get and they beat Texas by 4. But off that blowout loss to Florida, they didn't exactly dominate Texas. And I'm not the biggest fan of that Texas team. So I may be interested in Vanderbilt here, getting 6.5, 7. I lean that way, but under certainly makes sense. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. I think this is going to go down here a little bit. I think it's got to. Tennessee, it only kept me off because it was in the 134. It's still St. Under versus Georgia, and they held them down. Anything in this number, unless they're just red hot shooting, this game stays under with their defense. They've impressed me a little bit this year. But man, they didn't cover it.
Mark Byington, he's a really good coach. Took JMU to the tournament last year.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good hire too. I kind of lean their way too. Tennessee way better, and maybe it's the game they win, but just get out there a little bit like Texas. I kind of lean Vandy too, but I think the under anything probably like 138 is good here. I think with the defense.
Texas, Florida, next up here. Florida, 10.5 point favorites, 150.5 the total. Even the best teams in the world, sometimes you need a little wake-up call. Sometimes you start to feel yourselves a little bit, start to read your press clippings, and everyone's talking about how amazing you are. I think Florida had one of those moments the other night against Missouri. They could tell they came out, not ready to go. And they made a furious run in the second half, but to be down by 16 at home to Missouri, and Missouri's a solid team. I like Dennis Gates. There's another guy doing a nice coaching job for them behind Gates, Evaner, Hell, Mansioner, Jail. Dennis Gates is doing a nice job there for Missouri. But to be down 16 at home, that's not just you're playing bad. That's you didn't come ready to play if you're Florida the other night. Now you're off a loss. That's bad feel. It's one of the first loss they've had in SEC play. Got Texas coming in here. I know they beat Oklahoma on the road 77-73, but I think they're walking into the Hornets' nest here tomorrow to Gainesville, to the Swamp. I'm laying the 10.5 here, me, with this Florida team. Bounce back spot. C-Mac, what do you think?
Shout out to the chat here. Oldie, Don Play, the Chillest, everyone in here. Justin, my guy, Canes Nation. No tea, coffee. No sipping. Even tea. Tea sounds good. I haven't tea in a while. So
that makes one of us. I'm not a tea guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a tea guy either. I couldn't tell you. That's what I'm saying. It's coffee for me. I'm a coffee, water, beer. Keep it, keep it simple. Those 3 things.
Yeah.
All right, to this. Texas, I think this game goes over. But Florida has done well this year is they've been better defensively and they've kind of held teams down. Yep. But man, I don't know. At Texas games, when I just keep going through these, have gone over. The Tennessee game did.
Yep.
It's tough because if Florida really ratchets it and kind of blows them out, this could stay under. But I kind of lean over because I think Florida could score plenty. Texas defense hasn't been great. They've been scoring more of late. Texas, the offense has been what's driving them.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
I'll be right back.
But Jordan Pope's a good player. He's been really good for Texas. He had a great game the other night against Oklahoma for the Longhorns in that victory. It was really, really strong. Of course, Trey Johnson as well. Those are the 2 guys that really they count on Texas, and they have been a better offensive team. So I would lean over too, but I like Florida. Bounce back to lay it and get a double-digit home win here in this one. All right, we continue along on the Saturday breakdown. Iowa State, West Virginia. And next up, we've got West Virginia in Morgantown. Iowa State 6.5 point road favorites. The total 136.5 in this game. Iowa State's been a machine. Point spread wise, too. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread here in Big 12 play for this Iowa State Cyclones team. They've won and covered every Big 12 game. Colorado on the road, Baylor, Utah at home, Texas Tech on the road, Kansas at home in their last game. So you could argue, are they a little bit now overvalued? That's going to be the question. West Virginia, we'll see how they fare here, but DeVries is questionable, upper body injury. Jaden Stone, also an upper body injury for this team, so keep an eye on that. Although, Iowa State doesn't want to hear it because, and they won without him on the other night against Kansas, but they recently lost Momcilovic to injury. So it's not like Iowa State is fully healthy either, but he's a key piece there. But I think when you look at this one here, Iowa State's just so damn good, man. Yes, situationally, this feels like you kind of want to fade the Cyclones here. They're off the big home win against Kansas. Got to go on the road now, face West Virginia. It's not going to be easy. West Virginia is a scrappy team, but without DeVries in the lineup, how are they going to score consistently against this elite defense that Iowa State brings to the table? I can't do it. I can't step in front of Iowa State. I'm probably not laying the points either, but, I don't think I can do it. 5-0 straight up in ATS, Iowa State here in Big 12 play. We'll see if that continues here Saturday. But, as of right now, situationals will point to West Virginia, no doubt. I just don't know if I can go against them at this, with the way they're playing at the moment. CMAC will be back in a moment. We'll move along to the Egg Bowl, the basketball version of the Egg Bowl. This should be one of the best games on Saturday. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. We've got obviously two really good teams. Ole Miss, the big win they had against Alabama, and now Mississippi State brought back down to earth a little bit, losing to Auburn by 22 the other night, which followed the home loss against Kentucky. So they'll be looking to bounce back off two straight losses. Ole Miss is rolling right now. We've got Mississippi State 4.5-point home favorites, 147.5 the total. Spot, yeah, Mississippi State back-to-back losses, home favorite. It's usually a good spot to back a team like that, but just like I talked about, I don't know if I can get in front of Iowa State versus West Virginia. I don't know if I can get in front of Ole Miss right now. Plus the point, then they're getting points again. They're playing so damn good on the defensive side of the football. I don't think I can do it. I don't think, and I think they're still the better team than Mississippi State as well. So I probably will take Ole Miss again. Obviously, don't like it as much as the Alabama spot, but I'm not betting against Chris Beard's team right now. Not even maybe. CMAC is back. Those two games, CMAC, Iowa State, West Virginia, and the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. What are you liking in those two games?
Nothing. I can't get in front of Iowa State. In this game, too, I can't get in front of Ole Miss. This might be too many. The spot is so good. And it seems like Ole Miss is due for a loss, But one thing, while they've been so good on the road, is their defense. They're just a great team all the way around. They limit turnovers. And Mississippi State, and that's why they played to the under, 6-11 is Ole Miss. But it seems like this could be like a hot start for Mississippi State, a team that's, lost back-to-back games, especially just getting their ass blown out. I think they play a little better. Tough one. Tough. They put this out for a reason, thinking this could be, this line.
Yeah, I just can't do it still, again, with Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been my meal ticket all year. You know how many times I've won with Ole Miss this year? I can't do it. And I won't do it.
Me too. Yeah.
All right, Arkansas, Missouri. Now, this is one you want to fade Missouri off the huge win against Florida, and I can't take Arkansas. We got Missouri 5.5-point home favorites, 148.5 the total. This is another coaching advantage too. I'd take Dennis Gates in a heartbeat these days over John Calipari. That was a horrible loss again versus LSU because they actually played hard. His team actually played, but the effort was good. They led at halftime. They just went cold down the stretch. They stopped, making stops defensively, and LSU just came back and beat them and took it from them. Just snatched the victory right out of Arkansas's hands. Now they're on the road again against Missouri. Missouri's unbeaten at home, 13-0 this season. Now they're off the huge Florida win. Is it a letdown spot? Perhaps, but I ain't trusting Arkansas. What do you think?
Yeah, this is tough. I gotta think Arkansas is going to start, maybe steal a game here.
Take them first
You know what I
half,
mean? This,
even Arkansas. Yeah.
yeah, because this just seems like
Maybe. Yeah, that would be the way to bet them, I think.
the flattest spot after that huge win. They've been good at home too. This Missouri team's like what? Yeah, 13-0 at home.
Yep.
It's just been really good. So yeah, nothing here. Maybe Arkansas early. Yeah, that Missouri's a little flat, but I don't know if I get involved there.
Big East on Saturday night. Big East action. St. John's and Seton Hall. We've got St. John's. Looks like 10.5-point road favorites. 135.5 the total in this game. I kind of think the Pirates are, with all these points, man, might be worth a look. And I know St. John's is rolling, playing great. 4 straight wins, 9-1 in their last 10, 15-3 overall. Uncle Ricky, Rick Pitino's got obviously his best team since he's been at St. John's. They've got wins, quality wins at Xavier on the road by 10, Villanova at home by 12, Georgetown by 5 in their last game. Although that was a sweat for St. John's, Georgetown really pushed them hard in that game. And now they're laying 10.5, regional rivalry, a little New York, New Jersey going on here with St. John's and Seton Hall. And Seton Hall's back to what I expected out of them in the underdog role the last couple. Shaheen Holloway, catching points, cover the number. They've done that a few times now lately. Georgetown at home, they covered, even though they lost. Rutgers, even though they lost, they covered the number, lost by 3. At Providence, lose by 6, but covered the number. At Butler, lose by 5, but cover the number. Seton Hall's becoming that scrappy, feisty underdog you want to take plus the points now the last few games in a rivalry game. No, St. John's huge talent advantage. Better team, no doubt. But 10.5 in a rivalry, I'm interested with Seton Hall. C-Mac, what do you think?
I'm on them. I'm on Seton Hall here. I don't give a shit. St. John's. This team is going to catch up with them soon. Their defense has been better, I think, but you can't continue to shoot 30% from 3. I mean, at all. The numbers, they only make 6 a game and shoot 20 of them, too. And another thing down the line and in the tournament, you can't shoot 69% from the line, consistently. I think you're going to win games. They probably win here, but I'll take the point. Seton Hall, the offense has been better where that struggled before. And at home, this is on the road, different story. At home, they can hang around here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the R.J. Lewis and Kadari Richmond show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
quite a bit. And sometimes, you don't get them going. They can go into droughts, and can Seton Hall bring those out of St. John's here? Those scoring droughts that sometimes they can have. That's going to end up being the question here on Saturday. All right, a couple of games left for Saturday. LSU and Texas A&M. Next up, obviously, we've got A&M here at College Station, favored at home. We're looking at them here in the, it looks like the, let's see here, hold on. We'll get the right number here with that. Give me 1 second. Texas A&M is, there we go, around 11-point home favorites, 139 the total.
Okay, I was going to say 10.
Yeah, they were going to be in the double-digit range. Yeah, 11 is what we're looking at here in that range for A&M. Look, when it comes to A&M, you've got them obviously coming off the loss at Kentucky and the loss home to Alabama. Feels like a kill spot. And then you'll start to look at what LSU has done on the road here, C-Mac. 10-point loss at SMU, 16-point loss at Missouri, 12-point loss at Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Missouri, good teams, but losing by double digits to good teams. It's probably A&M or pass for me. Probably a get-right spot for Buzz Williams and crew. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, the buzzer. I think you lay it here. Back-to-back losses. And is Taylor going to be back in this game? That's probably big, too. That's probably one that
I'm starting to miss him. It was nice for a couple of games there when Zurich Phelps and some of the other guys were just playing over their heads without.
And they should have won that game or been better. To miss 20 free throws against Bama was a sight to see watching that game. Holy shit. So, yeah, they're going to need him. So keep an eye on that.
Questionable as of right now for this game on Saturday night, but chance at least. I think the little bit better chance of him returning this time compared to what we've seen of late. All right, we're going to end with the basketball version of the Holy War, BYU and Utah on Saturday night. These two rivals going at it. It looks like for this one, we've got Utah, 1.5-point home favorites, 151.5 the total here in this game. BYU kind of trending down. Utah kind of trending up. It's kind of the way I see it here the last little bit. I mean, BYU's just 1-3 in their last 4. They lose at Houston, lose at home to Texas Tech. They go on the road at TCU, they lose. They did bounce back, but Oklahoma State is one of the bottom feeders this year in the Big 12, so I don't want to really put too much stock into that. Meanwhile, here's Utah. They've won back. They beat Oklahoma State. They won on the road. The win on the road at TCU is a pretty good win here for Utah. I was impressed by that. We'll see if this is something that they can build off. But, after a rough start to the year for the Utah Utes, you are starting to see some positives from this group. And a head coach here in Craig Smith that, has been around the block here now multiple years. And you're starting to see this team certainly get better in recent games. And that's not been the case with BYU. So, a few weeks ago, you would have looked at this point spread, CMAC, and say, how the hell's Utah, even at home, how the hell are they favored against BYU? But now you see it, and they're kind of on the upward trending direction. BYU's kind of taken a dip here in the last few games. So I don't think I'll be betting the game because I do think BYU's the better team, but you do have to respect the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City. It's not an easy place to win, especially when the team starts to play good basketball there, and Utah's starting to do that. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, this is fucking nothing for me here. I don't know how big those wins were. Those losses were dog shit.
Yes.
For Utah. And at home one, the Texas Tech in normal spots where they play better and blown out Baylor, Iowa State. I don't know if I'm buying them. The win at TCU. TCU's
you might be looking to buy low here on BYU, maybe. Yeah.
They've actually gone there and won. Over the years, where normally, Utah's I don't back them at home, kind of like BYU at home at Provo. But I think it's kind of a coin flip. When I looked at the total here, I kind of lean over, but both teams have been so fucking inconsistent.
Yeah.
I mean, like if they shoot well here, it will get over. But it seems like one night they're on, or their defense is just nothing's been kind of for either of these teams. For two halves of basketball.
All right, there you go. There you have it. Looking forward to this big weekend of college basketball ahead. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Leonard Welch, Old E, Don, the Chillest, Kenny Woo Woo, G Martinez, Justin, everyone in the chat, Canes Nation. Appreciate all you guys. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. All right, we'll just go right into best bets. If there's anything else on Friday too you want to mention, you can do that. Connor, any games we didn't talk about for Friday that you like? If not, best bet, what do you got?
There's nothing. Best bet here. I'll give you the best because you can get 6. Youngstown State +6, -115. Take it. They keep the game close against Milwaukee.
All right, there you go. I like it. Best
keep
bet.
it rolling. We have been rolling on best bets. I think we're like 7 or 8 in a row.
Yep.
Let's keep it rolling.
State +6 against Milwaukee. Best bet for Connor Mack. My best bet, I'm going to go to a Friday game. The number's gone down. There are still a couple 6.5s, but a lot of 6s. I'm taking Iowa. Not a big Iowa fan normally, but I don't trust UCLA right now. I don't think they're in the frame of mind to lay 6.5 with this team right now. They're just the way they're playing, the way they've not responded. They still haven't won since Mick Cronin lost it on them. And you got Iowa coming off a loss to USC. They've been out there in LA now for several days. They're acclimated to the Pacific time zone now. It's actually a better scheduling situational spot for Iowa, too. So give me Iowa here, +6.5 against UCLA. I think at the worst case scenario, they have a competitive loss. And it wouldn't even shock me if they win this game outright here at Pauley Pavilion tonight. So Iowa +6.5 against UCLA for my best bet for this Friday college basketball slate. There we go. Shout out to everyone. We appreciate it very much. CMAC, anything to add before we pull the plug and say goodbye?
No. Oh, yes. I'll see you Tuesday. Shout out to the chat. Go watch the national championship. There will not be a show on Monday. I mean, hit us up. We'll put it out to that day and a couple of days before on Twitter. But go watch that full breakdown. We went about 50 minutes. Went through that game in and out. just about everything. So go watch that. And lastly, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends, mothers, brothers, dogs, husbands, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Tell everybody.
Subscribe to the channel.
everybody
Tell
that-
everybody. Tell everybody. But shout out to everyone that's here. This only get more. When college basketball gets going more, we might even go more. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays, 5 Eastern, be here. That's it. Let's have a great weekend, brother.
There you go. And check out the national championship preview show for college football that we did on Monday. Sides, totals, player props. We hit it all. For Connor, Mac, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck. See you Tuesday for another edition of the College Basketball Hitting the Book Show. Until then, class dismissed.